Welcome to Sable BooKnight, an independent publishing company located in Canada, offering author services and accepting submissions for anthologies. Visit sablebooknight.ca for more information, and BooKnight shares the K. Here are your hosts, Tania and Story Tyrant. Hello, and welcome to episode 12 of the Sable BooKnight podcast. I am Tania.
Hi, I'm Story Tyrant.
And on episode 12 today, what are we talking about, Tyra?
Talk about AI and how we are or aren't using it.
Perfect. Well, would you like to get her started?
Sure. Okay, so if you make something 100% with AI, you cannot copyright it. It's not your story. Because AI is literally a tool of plagiarism. It creates stuff in the form of, or in the narrative style of, or in the patterns of another author, writer, or whatever. It cannot create on its own. It's a large language model, which means it's basically a big, what is the most common thing to come next? And it's been trained on books, most of them illegally, and it's how it is. There has been a change. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but it sounds like Google lost their case. I believe this was the German case, but I may have that wrong. So I have
There's
a
been
kitten battle going on here.
That's okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say there's been a lot of stories, a lot of legal battles, a lot of fights, and who knows? It's going multiple directions.
So AI they use the ELIZA effect to be very coupled with studies of addiction to be very addictive and to make you hear and think what they want you to. But in the short run, it's to pull you in. It's to be extremely addictive, but to make you believe you're talking to a person, which you are not. You're talking to a program. Look up the ELIZA effect. It's quite cool. Anyway, they lost their case, and
We aren't as organized today as what we usually are, so bear with us.
no, we're not. And the epic kitten battle just fled my area. Hopefully they'll be in the bedroom for a little while, destroying each other or something in there. Okay. Yes, they are agents of chaos, killing and other stuff. All right. So,
Right on.
the Gorilla Publisher is one of the people I follow. And she and about 11 others have been discussing what's been going on with AI regarding writing. And I like to think of it as a no AI, all AI, and what are you going to use? Are you going to use any AI? Are you going to use no AI? And you, as the writer, need to understand a couple of things. Just like we now have people who use programs to enter their taxes, but don't understand the taxes. So, for instance, you have people who have never done out a journal entry in a double entry journal system. So they've never done that. So they just enter into the program. So they don't know if they've entered things wrong because they don't understand what double entry journaling is. And they're back, I'm afraid.
That's
And
okay.
you have just like you have that, like you have people who are programming now who've never actually programmed, and it's causing issues because they don't understand. It might look good, the results they get back, but it's not necessarily what they want to achieve or do. Hence, clean this up. Shall I delete? Yes, delete. Okay, deletes. Oh my God, the whole database is gone. Well, yes, because you told it to delete. It doesn't understand because it's just a program following your directions. So in writing, we have to decide what tasks we're going to utilize. Like, for instance, I like spell checker. So technically, I use spell checker when I'm writing a document. I like spell checker, but I always have to make sure it's the Canadian English.
That makes a
Unless
big difference.
yes, unless the market is an American market, and then I have to switch it to American spelling, which for me is more important because I spell Canadian.
Me too. I use Pro Writing Aid when I am doing editing because it's very good at picking up flow issues and the grammar, the spell check, all of that. It catches all the commas that I've misused or missed altogether, and and repetitive words. Like there's things that I do with it, but I choose not to use the generative AI features.
Okay. And as we write, we have to watch, even with editing tools, that our style isn't smoothed out. Like you've handed me pieces and I've said, this doesn't seem to be your style. And you said, yeah, I ran it through. What do you think of the run through? I said, no, because it wasn't you. And yet
Yeah.
everything else is great. Like, but that was you experimenting. You were playing with it.
Yeah, that was when I first got it. I wanted to see what it could and could not do, and so I accepted like all of its suggestions, and then I didn't even read it over after that. I just sent it off.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was too much. It was too smooth. And it wasn't smooth as in I'm not just saying it didn't sound like your style. What I'm saying is that it was too smooth. So, for instance, in dialogue, we had to break a lot of rules because that's what dialogue's about. But for the AI system and for spell check and for grammar check, the rules don't change when it's dialogue. All the rules of writing are all the rules of writing all the time. So, as writers, depending on how much you're going to use, you have to remember that when you're editing. So, if you're like, I don't see a problem in that. It's just that you have to know. Like it's like
Yes.
the old saying, as long as you know what the rules are and why they're there, then you know when and how to break them, right? It's the same thing.
Yep.
Okay, so line editing. So coming in the future now, because we're in a state of flux right now, the whole publishing industry. The question is, what and how much AI is going to be allowed? What is going to be considered AI writing and what isn't? And like right now, people will get attacked because they'll say, "Oh, your writing's AI." Like, and then they have to prove that it isn't. So a big change that's occurred, especially if you're going for a contract, would be keeping track of older versions of your work, keeping notebooks, keeping and dating them, and keeping receipts and putting them in notebooks for meetings or discussions, and making notes on when things happened or ideas, maintaining past versions, so that when you do publish your story, if an editor or a publishing house says we want you to prove to us that it wasn't AI generated, you can go back and show them previous versions and say, look, I started the story a year ago. This is it, or I started it 2 years ago, or 5 years ago, and then it went on the shelf for a year, and then this, and then I put it on the shelf for a few months, and then this, and then I finally finished it. Then they can see your progression and go, okay, not AI.
Now, are you suggesting this be done digitally or physically?
It depends on your writing style. If you're a digital only writer, then you'd be keeping past versions of the story on like a hard drive or wherever you store your data.
Yeah.
Understanding that if you choose to store your data in the cloud, you are giving it over to be data mined. It's not yours anymore. You're giving up ownership of it. As long as you understand that and accept that. It's like right now people are getting very upset finding old old ebooks being removed, old games being removed. Well, in the digital format, you do not own that. You have a licensed copy for limited use that can be pulled at any time. You do not own the digital copy. Unless you don't hold the medium, you don't own it. So if you do, like if you have a USB or disc with something on it, then you have a physical medium with that on it.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
it's just, you just have to understand that. They call it the enshittification of everything. And these people, yes, they're very good at that. Cory
I'm sitting in
Doctorow.
a different position here in the office, and I forgot there's a little bit of like a slope to the floor.
Mm.
So I keep slowly rolling back without noticing that there's any movement until I'm like
Oh, that's what's going
way out
on.
of the picture.
So when you're doing your work, and especially if you're looking for a contract with a publisher, that's going to be very important. Another thing is if your identity as a writer is, I publish fast, I'll do 4 books a year, the machines got you beat. Having speed as your identity, people aren't, the average reader is not interested in that. That doesn't grab them. They want to be, you'll always have a small group of readers, depending on the genre, depending on the location, depending on access, who will be, what's the term I'm looking for? Satisfied with popcorn. They just want a popcorn book. They're going to read it in the afternoon. You're always going to have them. But the majority of readers, and the people who are still reading, they want to sit down to a Subway sandwich, like a sandwich, or they want to sit down to a meal, or they want to sit down with friends. So they want an immersive experience, especially with the price of books going up. If they're going to go out and physically buy a book, they want to be in that book. They want to enjoy that book, which means the story itself is now even more important than ever. So those authors who already hand sell, they are leagues ahead of those who only sell online. Because if you have an audience that knows you, that meets you once or twice a year at various markets or at the library promoting your new book or some other venue, they see you at a coffee shop or something, or you do a promotion at a bookstore, these people who come and see you once or twice a year, they know who you are. They will meet and talk with you. And if you talk about your process and your characters and they tell you, you are now leagues ahead of the I write 5 books a year people. Because those people, a lot of people feel, I'm going to spend my hard-earned money. I want something tangible for it. Even if they're only reading the ebook, and I don't say only, but reading the ebook version, the digital version, they want to know that the author wrote it, that a person wrote it, that it has feeling, not just a copy of a copy. Because technically AI is copy and copy. And as you copy a copy, the quality, the initial meaning, what's the word I'm looking for? Or words. It's like someone who is an okay painter copying the Mona Lisa. And then someone comes along who's an okay painter and copies their copy of the Mona Lisa. And then someone comes along who's an okay painter and copies their copy of the Mona Lisa. That fourth picture that you're up to, you're looking at going, I don't know.
It's not the Mona Lisa.
That ain't, yeah. Even the last 3 weren't the Mona Lisa, only the first one was, but it got less and less the Mona Lisa. So when we think of AI, it does that, but it doesn't, how do I put this? It's always aiming for a mean, for the average. So it looks at the blank blank dog, the red or the fast running dog. So if the most common phrase is the dog barked, and you start with the dog, 99 times out of 100 it's going to go barked. And then the next most common is the dog slept, or it looks at the most average word and says, well, that should be what you say there, because that is the most average. So as you keep aiming for this mean, for this average, the quality of the words, the way they're used, even the use of commas changes. An example would be, I walked up the stairs and looking down remembered, I walked up the stairs, period. Turning, I looked down the stairs, remembering when my father had tripped on my toy and fallen and broken his leg. Breaking his leg, or had broken his leg. Here's the thing. If you have not a single comma in that statement, it comes out in a rush when you're reading it. And there's already an emotional. But the average way of doing that, you'd want to put a couple commas in there. Do you know what I'm saying? So it changes the feeling of the sentence. So that's what I'm saying is you're going to lose that as the tools or as people use the AI to write faster. Also, every time you offload a skill, a thinking skill, you lose ability to do that skill. So for instance, if you've ridden a bike for 12 years and then you don't ride a bike for 20 years, you get back on a bike, you'll remember how to ride that bike. But I'll argue that going down the road, the 5-mile bike ride that you used to do after 5 years of not biking, driving a car and walking, you get on that bike, you're using muscles you haven't used in 20 years or whatever years, and you go to try to bike that mile, you're going to be in agony, right? And the same thing with letting someone else do the thinking for you. So when you sign contracts now with publishers, and I think it'll be all publishers, I don't think it'll just be the big publishers, they're going to want to know, what are you using AI for? Are you using it for line editing? Are you using it for brainstorming? Are you using it for research? And if you're using it for research, better be very careful. And I mean that. The infamous book on Amazon that was AI written on mushrooms that's now killed 20 people. Or, I don't know if it's an urban legend or what, but they had to pull it and they're being sued. Well, I don't know what happened with that. It just kind of vanished. I think they lost the case, but I'm not really sure. So the thing is you really do have to do your research. Like, hearing that Sauron was the name of the dragon from Lord of the Rings shocked me because it was Smaug. Everyone knows it was Smaug. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. Smaug isn't the dragon in Lord of the Rings. There is no dragon in Lord of the Rings. The dragon is in The Hobbit. And then the person said, oh no, I asked AI. There's a dragon named Sauron in Lord of the Rings. I'm like, no, there isn't a dragon named Sauron in Lord of the Rings. Hello, what are you doing? Why don't you lay down, little one? Why don't you lay down? Okay. What do you want to do? Don't walk
She's
on
talking
me.
to her cat.
I am
Oh.
so sorry. Give me a second. I've just been kittened. Come here, you. Come here. Come here. Oh, this is Joy. This is little Joy. Look, look. Say hello.
She's
Say,
full of joy. Hello, Joy.
hey,
Hello,
Joy.
look at my fingers.
Yeah. Okay.
So, AI takes the joy out of writing.
It can. It can. Stop focusing on speed and focus on quality of story. Put story first.
I agree. I agree with you.
All right.
So, what other notes do you have? Because we talked about this at our meeting, and I apparently have misplaced my notebook.
Okay. I had a list here. I had no AI, all AI, and I have a list down the middle of what are you going to do. And you're going to probably have to explain this to your editors, how you use it. So keep copies, keep versions, keep notebooks, keep notes from meetings. Like if you go to your friends and you're reading out a chapter because it's just not working and you're like hitting your head on that wall, and your friends say, oh, well, what about this? You go, aha, and it works. Make the note that you did that. So, are you using it for line editing, brainstorming, research, outlining, developmental questions, marketing, book description, blurbs, social media posts? Are you using it to curate or maintain an email list? Are you using it to create and or develop advertising? Are you using it for the cover art? Are you using it for art within the book? Like, are you using it to lay out your book? Like, what are you using the AI for? You're going to have to be very clear what tools you're using. And some of the tools you may not think of as AI. So you're going to have to actually make a note. Oh, I use a really old uh, check system, but it doesn't do grammar. It just does
Yeah, just a
just
basic
spelling.
spell check.
Yeah,
But
but it's old.
and the reason that we need to do all these things is because the publishing platforms are now going to start asking you to disclose this information. I mean, Amazon KDP already has questions,
Mhm.
but they will get more in depth, and you need to be honest about how you've used it because otherwise it'll backfire.
Yes. And that is where, again, if people see you writing, if they know you're writing a story, if they ask questions, it Some people say, well, I want my book to look polished. Yes, AI can really help with polishing your cover. It's very easy now to produce a polished, beautiful book. As a matter of fact, it's so easy now that I get really miffed when when I see books that aren't polished because the tools are everywhere and they're next to free, if not free. So my argument is look at a book off the shelf from 10 years ago. Flip through that book, and not a self-published book, but a book published in the genre. Look how those pages look. Do they have different fonts on every page? No, they do not. Do they have half the book has the page numbers on the corners, half the book has it in the middle? No, they don't. You pick a style, you stay with it. The whole goal of laying out a book is that it's invisible to the reader. If it intrudes on the reading experience, well, that's not good. So using AI, again, be careful what you use it for, because have you mastered something? And if you have mastered it, do you wish to keep that skill sharp? So if your argument is, well, I was able to ride a bike for 10 years and now I've switched to my car, and once a year for one day I'm going to use my bike. That is going to be a horrible experience for you. Those muscles will have atrophied, things will have changed, your skill will have completely plummeted, your awareness on the bike will have gone. It's the same thing with mental skills. If you don't use them, you lose them.
Yeah.
So your question then is, how are you going to make your book stand out? Well, through story.
Definitely.
And I don't mean sex, and I don't mean violence, and I don't mean edginess. What I mean is a good story. And there's so many good stories out there you can pick up and read that don't involve gratuitous anything.
Hmm. Yeah. What was I going to say? I don't know. It is gone out of my brain. My brain is tired today.
I know.
But
What other
I
notes?
think, like, in terms of the whole copyright aspect of it too, um, like there have been cases where they say, okay, I should be able to copyright this cover because I am the one who told AI what to create. And it doesn't matter because AI is still the one that created it, and therefore you can never copyright it. So
Yeah.
be careful with using those images even in the interior of the book,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, it can really cause some legal issues down the road.
That Gorilla publisher, she says that she is seeing, and a couple other people have said a very similar thing, not quite the same way she said it, that she is seeing a divide. She is seeing these, what does she call them? Give me a second. I made a note here because I thought I'm hearing that from a bunch of different people. So on the one side, you have what literary writers, or those who consider themselves literary writers, and on the far side, you have mass work producers. They don't consider themselves writers. They are just people who work on an assembly line. So you have these people here, and then you have these people here. But most of us, let's be honest, we fall in the middle somewhere. Like, we I'm not going to agonize over every single comma, but I'm definitely want a chapter or a page to move the story forward how it's needed to be done. I want to make sure I have the right emotional tone and impact with each paragraph. But at the same time, I'm not going to spend 4 days on a comma, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and you're also seeing an argument of lowering the make up your own policy for how you're going to use it, and make a note of it and then stand by it. That's all, really. The other thing is, I think it's really important right now to be offline as a writer. Like, have some stuff online. I'm not saying don't be online. I'm saying, but I think it's
Mhm.
really important to have an offline presence right now, a physical presence in the
Mhm.
physical world.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of people that, I mean, I was one really for a few years. I had my own reasons for it, but where I just kind of enclosed myself up in this little shell and pictured my online sales skyrocketing and thinking that that would be enough. But the reality is, we're getting completely drowned by published books, by indie authors, by AI writers, generative AI writers, and it's only going to get worse. And I think that gaining readers physically in person means more to the readers,
Hmm.
and you will find that it actually means more to you, the author. You've
Hmm.
had that face to face, you've had the conversation, they got to see you be excited about your book and describe your book, and they're more likely to support you as well because they know you are a real person.
Hmm.
Where online, picking up a random book online and saying, "Oh, that sounds interesting," and reading it, how do you know as a reader when you're just looking at a book description whether that's AI or a real person?
Yeah, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get um, more difficult, more harder to distinguish. Yeah,
Well, and
yeah.
even the the publishing platforms online, they've been working on ways to weed out AI writers. But in the process, they have also accidentally weeded out writers who are not using generative AI.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that they're doing is reducing how many books you can publish per day or per week. And they're starting subscription models, like you have to pay to publish with them because people who are in it for more bang for their buck and they want to write as fast as frickin' possible
Mm-hmm.
with generative AI and get it out there and make money, they're less likely to spend that money to make the money.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's not going to work 100%. There
No.
is no foolproof way for companies to pick up on which books are and are not written by AI.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, the in-person sales is really going to make a big difference.
Yeah, like this has happened before with ghostwriting, right? Like, except that it was expensive to get a ghostwriter in the past. Now it's dirt cheap to get a ghostwriter, an AI ghostwriter. So,
Yep.
and that's part of the issue right now.
So we're almost at the half-hour mark. Do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about with the AI aspect of publishing?
As an author, and this is just what I believe everyone needs to do, you need to develop a policy. You need where and how much and what are you going to use? What's your provenance going to be on your work? Are you going to save lots of digital copies? Are you going to print off various copies at various stages, mail them to yourself through the Canada, like through the post office, and get them? It's you have to sign for it, so it's all stamped. It'll come back to you, and you throw it on your shelf, and then because you may end up in court, and the weird part for me is you may end up at a contract discussion needing to hand it over, which is I don't think has ever really happened before, to show that you have provenance of where the work came from.
Yeah,
It
and
just
how else do you prove that you're the actual author and you didn't use generative AI? Like printing out your story to do your edits and showing the highlights, the notes, the marks. That might be one of the best ways to prove it. And then
yeah,
put the date on it, sign
yeah.
it, have a witness sign it, something.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I said. Like if you do a rough draft, your first rough draft, like for those people who write in a notebook, who actually longhand write, this is their dream because they were going to have providence up the yin yang. But and we have friends who do longhand write. They do all their first drafts longhand. So she has boxes of books, and I'm like notebooks, and I'm like, yeah, she has providence for everything she's ever written. And each book or group of books in a grouping are all the same story. So that it's kind of neat. So it's easy for her. And she
Yeah.
dates everything. So again, it's easy for her. Whereas for someone like me, I do print off copies, which we edit, but I throw them away, like when I'm done with them.
I've been keeping mine, but I have not been dating them. But I am really bad at keeping different versions, and that's something that I need to improve on. I use the same document on my computer for all of the different stages of editing, and I only ever have one copy because I found I was getting overwhelmed by saving a backup copy here and a backup
Yep.
copy there. And then I get confused on which one is the current copy and so on. So, but I think like if I get into a process, like say, okay, this is the name of the document, rough draft. And then when I'm ready to move to edits, then maybe I take a copy of that and rename it to edit one or
Yeah.
something like that.
And
And
edit,
then,
date on it.
yeah.
Literally type the date of the edit.
And I don't think it has to be a ton of copies, but there should be some sort of like a date, or you can see the date that a document is originally created. It's right into the document, like in the properties. So that helps.
And each time it's modified is also there.
Yeah.
So at least in my program it is. And the other thing is that when you get someone to edit it for you and you pay them, you have a receipt for the work. You're supposed to keep that for your taxes anyway. So
You should ask for a receipt if it's somebody who you know and is doing it as a favor, and then you're giving them some cash. You should still ask them for that receipt.
yeah, if you're buying them lunch, like I've done lunch in exchange for edits. Then in that case, I keep the receipt. I make a note. I write down the edit, and then on the edit, I usually have them sign it. But I don't know if I date the edit. but I have it. I could dig it out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I didn't organize it. I didn't think about providence as being an issue for authors, and now it is, and it's something we have to just adapt to.
Yeah.
But you
Be
have to,
prepared.
yeah. But
Defend
each of
yourself.
us have to figure out how we're going to do it. So that's my,
Homework?
yeah. Figure out your AI policy. Where, what, when, how, and why are you going to use it? Figure out where using it will weaken you as an author, and don't use it there. And what's going to be your providence policy? How are you going to keep providence of your work? Show providence of your work. That's it.
Great. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. If you have any suggestions, thoughts, comments, anything about AI and publishing books, please leave a comment down below, and don't forget to hit the like button if you're on YouTube.
Mhm.
So have a great rest of your day, afternoon, evening, night, or whatever, and happy publishing.
Remember, story comes first.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you have a great rest of your day, afternoon, evening, night, or whatever, and keep on writing.
Yes, and remember, story comes first.